Hi, I'm Thomas Hunt.
And I'm the Cookie Monster.
And this is the Bad News Network. Last Friday at the music event called Astroworld, 9 people were killed and over 100 more were injured when concertgoers rushed the stage when the rapper Travis Scott was about to perform. According to an ICU nurse who was at the event, there was a clock counting down to when the rapper would be on stage. And when the clock got closer to 0, people started rushing the stage at the sold-out show. The victims range in ages from 14 to 27, and there was even a 9-year-old that was sent to the hospital due to their injuries. Which begs the question, who the f*** brings a 9-year-old to a sold-out rap concert? Couldn't get tickets to go see the Wiggles? This isn't the first time a Travis Scott performance has gotten out of hand. In 2015, Lollapalooza, he told fans to climb over security fences. Luckily, no one was hurt, but Scott must have known he f***ed up because he fled the scene immediately. Another similar event happened when he told fans to rush security in a 2017 concert in Arkansas. Both times, charges were brought against the rapper. Unfortunately for him, the charges he could be facing because of this event would be murder. In order to save face, the rapper took to social media to give his condolences to the families of deceased and anyone who was injured, but the apology felt pretty half-assed. It felt like when you were a kid and you were trying to convince your parents that you were the only kid in school who didn't get their report card. He was awkwardly rubbing his face for the whole video while walking around his bathroom. He gave Kyle Rittenhouse's crocodile tears a run for their money. Adding more flame to the stupidity fire, Scott was seen partying at Dave & Buster's only a couple of days ago. Apparently Chuck E. Cheese and the Play Place and the local McDonald's would not let him in. The Dave & Buster did have to close when Scott encouraged all patrons to storm the claw machines and pull out whatever they wanted. Things are definitely not looking good for Scott. During his performance at Astroworld, security was alerted that people were being trampled in the crowd. Video footage shows a member of the security team go up to Travis and ask him to make an announcement, which he did. Nope, he just told people to rage even harder. I haven't heard any of Travis Scott's music, nor do I plan to, but I'm also ashamed of the people who wanted to see this dude perform so badly. They literally trampled people. No one's music is that good. Maybe Britney Spears, but that's it.
The punches keep rolling in for Subway. Besides their sandwiches turning you into a pedophile, there have now been at least 3 claims that the meat they use isn't what they actually claim it to be. Gross. A couple months ago, the New York Times published an article saying that a study showed that Subway tuna was not 100% tuna like the sandwich chain said it was. At the time, the researchers said that they couldn't say exactly what the tuna was, but that there was definitely some funky shit going on. And it had about 0 traces of actual tuna DNA. Yummy. But yesterday, a study published by Reuters said that the lab-tested tuna contained animal proteins from chicken, pork, and cattle. So basically everything that's in a hot dog. Subway is trying to battle back against these claims with their own campaign called Don't Think About It, Just Put It in Your Mouth. A campaign slogan that originated with their original mascot, Fat Jared. The most recent lawsuit against the company states that they're lying about what is actually in the tuna, tricking customers into buying a premium priced food dish. Who the f thinks anything from Subway is premium? They were slinging foot-long sandwiches for $5. I won't be surprised if that was Play-Doh packed into a sponge. After an earlier lawsuit filed in July, Subway underwent a total menu overhaul. The only things they didn't do were change the actual tuna or put anything edible on the menu at all. They claimed their tuna was always perfect and 100% tuna. Unfortunately for anyone fighting to sue Subway, the chain has enough money to lawyer the f up and will keep denying these claims forever. To be fair, if you eat McDonald's chicken nuggets or Oscar Mayer hot dogs, you can't complain about what Subway's doing. It's the same thing.
In a surprise to literally everyone, China and the United States have come to an agreement on climate change during the COP26 summit. Currently, the United States and China are the 2 highest greenhouse gas emitting countries, which account for about 40% of the world's total carbon output. The goal of the agreement is to accelerate the emission reduction to the goals set during the 2015 Paris Agreement. So it has taken over 6 years to do nothing besides come to an agreement that we need to actually do something just faster. The former agreement that took place in 2015 had the aim to reduce the global temperature rise to less than 2 degrees Celsius or 3.6 degrees in American temperature. John Kerry, who worked with the leaders from China to make this deal happen, said that they probably weren't going to be able to slow the temperature rise as much as expected previously, but that they were still going to try really, really hard. And they promised. Man, the government really likes to oversell what they can do. As with most government work, a lot of the language in the agreement is unquantifiable, with China saying things like, "make our best efforts," which means absolutely nothing. Kerry believes that this agreement is historic and bigger than people think, but there is one thing we all need to remember.
Don't trust China. China is asshole.
On a lighter note, President Biden was flashed by a large Scottish man who stood naked in his window while taking pictures of the president's motorcade. The president said the whole event was hard to swallow.
The trial of Kyle Rittenhouse continued this week, with the defendant himself taken to the witness stand. When on the stand, Rittenhouse described the events which led him to shooting these 3 people. Kyle is currently charged with reckless homicide, intentional homicide, and attempted intentional homicide after killing 2 men and injuring another at the protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin last summer. While trying to get all the details out, he and his mother both started crying uncontrollably, prompting his defense team to motion for a mistrial with prejudice. The judge called for a break because of all the tears. Some people are saying that Rittenhouse's tears were forced so that he could look more innocent than he actually is, with one of those being NBA star LeBron James, who took to Twitter to mock Rittenhouse for crying in the courtroom. Interesting tactic for a dude that falls to the ground in pain when someone taps his elbow. I can't tell you whether Rittenhouse's tears were fake or not. I imagine recanting the story about how you killed 3 people is pretty emotional, and the fact that you could be headed to prison where a bunch of dudes are going to be slamming your asshole all day in and day out is pretty terrifying as well. But I will say this. It was for sure the weirdest and most ugly crying I have ever seen. It looks more like he snorted a bunch of Sour Patch Kid powder right before he took the stand and was trying to just get it all out while telling his side of the story. I think in order to resolve this, we need to have Rittenhouse versus James on the undercard of the next garbage Jake Paul fight. I know a lot of people are hating on this kid, but honestly, I feel bad for him. He f***ed up for sure, but the real bad guy in this situation, in my opinion, is his mom. Why would you drive your 17-year-old son to a different city with a loaded assault rifle to keep the peace? He's not a soldier, he's not a police officer, I don't even think he was a Boy Scout. He is the victim of terrible parenting. If anyone should be in jail for what is happening, it should be his mom. How about encourage your kid to play sports, hang out with his friends, or maybe grow the f*** up a little bit?
Let it be known, Ted Cruz will pick a fight with anybody on social media, and this week, he turned his attention to the big yellow avian star of Sesame Street, Big Bird. This week, Big Bird tweeted that he got his COVID vaccine and is feeling fine even though his wing is a little sore. This pushed Ted Cruz over the edge, as this is one of the only programs he likes to watch. Cruz tweeted out that this was government propaganda in order to get 5-year-olds vaccinated against COVID. So Joe Biden added more fuel to the Texan fire when he tweeted in support for Big Bird, or whoever is in charge of the White House Twitter. We know Biden can't do that stuff. I don't see Biden even knowing how to open the app on his phone. Cruz was widely mocked online for picking a fight with a fictional bird character from a children's show because, you know, Big Bird isn't real. Also, he's technically a bird, so is he even supposed to get the vaccine? Has this been properly tested on other animals or puppets? Worst case scenario here is that Big Bird keels over mid-episode and scares the children to the point where they will never get another shot again. Cruz followed up with other tweets and even a gif of Big Bird kicking down a door to come vaccinate kids, which prompted someone to make a Big Bird for Senate Twitter page, which already has more followers than Cruz's Twitter. To Cruz's point, Sesame Street does get about 4% of its government funding from the government, so he might not be totally wrong on the whole propaganda thing. But maybe pick your battles. I think he might just be jealous that Big Bird gets to walk around all day with a hand up his ass. In other puppets from the Barrio News, Oscar the Grouch is asking anyone to donate their used COVID syringes to him so he can use them for stuff.
The pot calling the kettle black joke is playing out in real life, and man is it wild. The piece of shit extremist group known as the Taliban, who took over Afghanistan, are now dealing with another piece of extremist group known as ISIS-K. ISIS-K is the offshoot of ISIS, which is an offshoot of the Taliban, so they're really tripping over their own feet at this point. Over the past couple of weeks, there have been dozens of deadly attacks that have taken place across the country, and the Taliban has no idea how to stop it. How's that medicine taste? Your own flavored? The saddest part of all this is the brazen disregard for all civilian life. These factions are fighting each other for power while regular families just trying to survive have to deal with suicide bombers and gunmen looking to destroy anything they can. In one attack, ISIS-K fighters sprayed bullets through the windows of a military hospital, killing at least 25 people. The US has offered to give information about the Islamic State to the Taliban, but the offer was rejected. Why are we talking to them? They're the bad guys too. The Taliban stated that they are responsible to help and assist the Afghan people, which they are massively f***ing up. The UN said that almost all Afghans aren't getting enough food and that the majority of the country could fall below the poverty line in the coming months. As much as I want to see these two groups kill each other off, a lot of innocent people are going to die in the crossfire. There are still people here fighting to save as many of these people as possible. We haven't forgotten about you. There are groups here doing everything they can to help.
And finally, in Florida Man news, police are asking for the public's help after a man was seen beating the absolute shit out of a seagull at a beach in Florida. The violent attack was seen by a bunch of people who did absolutely nothing to help the bird, which tells me a couple things. 1, this is a fairly regular occurrence in Florida. And 2, people don't give two f***s about seagulls. I also hate seagulls, but I'm just going to enjoy the beach like a normal person, instead of trying to bust a bunch of sky rats like piñatas at a quinceañera. Craig Jobin, another Florida man, was asked his opinion on the situation, and he said he was amazed that the guy got away with anyone saying anything to him or trying to stop him from destroying the bird, and that no one tried to stand up for the seagull or whatever. Or whatever? What does that mean? What else is there to do besides stand up for a seagull? And Craig, you were clearly at the scene and didn't do shit. So just like everyone else, so f*** off. Or whatever. The bird was taken to the Von Arx Wildlife Hospital in Naples, Florida, instead of just being thrown into the ocean to die or be eaten by a sea lion like nature intended. The bird had multiple fractures, a twisted wing, and had trouble breathing, but luckily someone is actually being paid to nurse a single seagull back to full health, so the bird is expected to make a full recovery. The man was last seen leaving the beach in green shorts and a straw hat, so police are asking for the public's help to find this man, assuming he never changes his clothes. After his failed attempt to find Brian Laundrie, Dog the Bounty Hunter said he is headed to Florida to redeem himself with the Sky Rat mystery. And with that, I'm Thomas Hunt.
And I'm Pokey.
And this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already, and if you're gonna kill a seagull, you gotta eat the thing. It's just disrespectful if you don't. As always, you can get 25% off your order at Ranger Up with using the code BNN. And make sure to check out Nick and Matt's OnlyFans page at Nick and Matt, where they rarely post anything, but maybe you'll get a look at their feet? Have a good weekend.